The story begins in the middle of the action, or more precisely, in the middle of stagnation. Because Hannah is not the type who exercises regularly, the only calories she burns each day are probably those spent in the brief window between spotting food and swallowing it whole. And Hannah eats a great deal. Her greatest weakness is sweets, particularly donuts. She can devour them as though her time on Earth is running out. That said, this does not mean Hannah lacks intelligence. On the contrary, she is a scientist held in high regard by many, but the respect of others means nothing when she has lost all respect for herself. Although she carefully logs her daily intake of sugar and saturated fat, all of Haza's knowledge and intellect prove useless against her inability to control herself. After realizing that every effort has failed, she opens a fresh page and writes down a new goal. Her ideal weight will be 60 kilograms. Carrying that resolve, Hannah finally makes her way to the gym. There, Alanya, the gym's beautiful receptionist, invites Hannah to join a 12-week weight loss challenge. However, Hannah is not sure she can meet the requirements, or whether she has the courage to share her struggles with someone else. The battle with her weight has always been an intensely private matter. She wants to keep every success and every failure entirely to herself. That afternoon, after leaving the gym, Hannah attends her first anatomy class. Her teacher for the next 3 months is not a living person, but the body of an overweight individual assigned to the class for study. Hannah is the first to volunteer to hold the scalpel. Yet while making a precise incision, she suddenly notices that the corpse's nails are painted in exactly the same color as her own. This strange coincidence breaks her concentration and ruins the cut. At that moment, Hannah learns that the woman on the dissection table was only a few years older than her, and that the two of them are not so different after all. In that instant, she seems to see her own future reflected in that cold body. The effect on her psyche is profound. When she returns home, the first thing Hannah does is remove her nail polish entirely. She then goes out for drinks with her closest friends. It is only now that the audience learns today is Hannah's birthday, though she is in no mood to celebrate. After a while, she gets up to use the restroom and unexpectedly runs into Melissa, an old friend she has not seen in over 5 years. What strikes Hannah most is that Melissa used to be significantly heavier than her, yet she is now slim and beautiful. Melissa reveals that her secret is a drug called Gray. It has not been fully licensed yet, so it cannot be purchased at an ordinary pharmacy. But Melissa herself is living proof of its remarkable effects. She says she has never felt healthier in her life. Melissa hands Hannah 2 pills, one to take that very night and one for the following day. She tells her that if Hannah feels a change, she should get in touch. After that encounter wraps up, the whole group finally begins to enjoy the party in earnest. The next morning, Hannah wakes up in her bedroom with hazy memories of having eaten an entire roast chicken during the party. She also hears someone whistling. When she reaches for her phone, the reflection in the ashtray reveals a naked older man standing beside her bed. Yet Hannah herself is completely unaware of his presence. What catches her attention more than anything is the pile of pizza boxes and fast food she apparently consumed after returning from the party. Once again, she feels disappointed in herself for surrendering to her cravings. But the biggest surprise comes when she steps on the scale. Despite having eaten so much, her weight has gone down. After watching a string of TikTok videos featuring plus-size women proudly embracing their bodies, Hannah texts Melissa to ask about the price of Gray. When she learns that she needs at least $5,000 for the initial doses, her hope collapses immediately. The next day, Hannah visits her parents. From outside the door, she can already hear arguing. When she steps inside, she finds her mother alone, fixing a light bulb in the kitchen and sobbing. But the moment she sees her daughter, she quickly wipes her tears and tries to smile and wish her a happy birthday. For reasons that remain unclear, Hannah's mother has installed cameras all around the house. The birthday cake she has prepared is not even appealing. It is a diet cake, utterly tasteless. Hannah understands that her mother is trying to nudge her toward losing weight, but has chosen to do so indirectly rather than saying it outright. Before leaving, Hannah lights a candle in memory of a beloved older sister she misses deeply, then makes her way back home. The following morning, with the mindset of a scientist, Hannah decides to investigate the secret of the pill. Rather than taking it, she brings it to the university laboratory to analyze its chemical composition. After a full day of research, she has identified nearly all of the compounds that make it up. Only one ingredient remains unexplained, a substance with an exceptionally high calcium phosphate content. Hannah thinks at length but cannot connect it to any ordinary supplement ingredient. After laboring over the analysis, she arrives at a horrifying conclusion. It is human ash. But that makes no sense at all. With that level of phosphate, it should cause increased appetite, not suppress hunger, let alone help the body burn excess fat. There is no scientifically valid explanation for the pill's effects. When the next class begins, the students continue their study of the obese woman's body, which they have nicknamed Beta. After opening the chest cavity to observe the internal organs, a long day with corpses and scalpels finally comes to an end. After everyone else has left, Hana stays behind alone. She secretly takes several of Beta's ribs, brings them to the laboratory, and burns them in a kiln to produce ash. Returning home with the ash she has collected, Hana successfully manufactures her first pill. Before swallowing it, she stands before a mirror, staring at her own reflection as though saying goodbye to the overweight person she used to be. Then she takes the pill with the fierce hope that a miracle is about to happen. The next morning, Hana returns to the gym and signs up for Alania's weight loss program, the woman she is secretly attracted to. Despite her deep dislike of exercise, Alania's presence gives her the motivation to keep going. That night, while sitting down to review medical flashcards, something strange happens. Hana's stomach suddenly growls loudly, and she realizes she has not eaten anything all day, yet feels no hunger whatsoever. She gets up and goes to the kitchen to prepare a small snack. While the kettle is boiling, Hana glances at the bathroom mirror and is terrified to see Beta standing there in the reflection, staring at her in silence. When she turns to look directly into the bathroom, there is nothing there. The moment sends a wave of goosebumps across her entire body. In the days that follow, Hana goes to the gym regularly, driven by the desire to spend more time near Alania. She also continues producing more pills and takes them every single day without fail. Just as she predicted, no matter how much she eats, her weight keeps dropping. Hana does not know whether it is the intensity of her workouts or the effect of the pills, but the feeling of watching the number fall a little more each day becomes completely addictive. She starts eating without any restraint. Anything placed in front of her disappears almost immediately. Yet the next morning she wakes up even thinner. When the first month of the 12-week challenge ends, the change has become visible on Hana's face. She no longer looks the way she used to. She looks far happier. Alania is thrilled by what Hana has achieved, as she is among those who have lost the most weight in the entire group. Overjoyed, Alania asks to take a photo of the two of them and posts it to her Instagram. That very night, Hana gains a flood of new followers. They pour in with congratulations over her remarkable weight loss journey. But while she is happily scrolling through her phone, Hana hears heavy sounds moving throughout the apartment, as though an enormous person is walking around inside her home. This makes her feel that she is in danger. The sightings of Beta grow increasingly frequent. As someone who believes in science and reason, Hana concludes that she may be suffering from severe hallucinations or dangerous side effects from the pills. She therefore decides to study the phenomenon rigorously. Hana finds a mirror to test whether the apparition will recur under controlled conditions. The result is exactly what she feared. When she picks up a metal spoon, she can see very clearly the reflection of Beta standing right behind her. Not only that, Beta follows her closely, watching her with an expression that sends a chill down her spine. After careful observation, Hana discovers a strange pattern. Beta only appears when she is hungry. The next day, during anatomy class, Hana deliberately touches Beta's body to see whether the physical remains produce any other unusual response. Nothing happens. However, her classmates quickly notice that Hana is behaving in an extremely strange manner. The following morning, her mother drops by unexpectedly, bringing a ticket to Iwazu Falls, a place she has dreamed of visiting her entire life. Hana immediately notices there is only one ticket, which means her father will not be going. With a sad expression, her mother confesses that she has endured that marriage for 25 years but is now exhausted and wants to start living for herself. She therefore asks Hana to visit her father at least once a week to make sure he is all right. After eating through several large bags of chips to relieve the tension, Hana decides to go to sleep. But when she wakes up, she is horrified to see the massive, deceased Beta hovering directly above her and slowly descending with a menacing air. The worst of it is that Hana cannot move at all. She is imprisoned within her own body, and only when Beta lowers herself until their lips meet in a revolting kiss does Hana jolt awake and realize it was all a nightmare. But things grow even worse when she discovers that physical side effects have begun to appear. The knuckles of her fingers have turned black, as though badly damaged. She has also developed an intense and barely controllable desire for physical gratification. Despite the many strange things happening around her, Hana does not stop taking the pills. All of it is because she wants to keep being near Alania and to become as beautiful and slender as her, so that one day the two of them might be together. During anatomy sessions, Hana continues to secretly take small fragments of bone from Beta's body to maintain her supply of raw material for the daily pills. To Hana, the sight of a fat woman's ghost is still more bearable than the miserable life she once lived. The strangest thing is that Beta's presence in the apartment grows stronger with each passing day. Beta seems to have become her new roommate. Hana can see her appearing constantly, yet Hana has sunk too deep into her addiction to food and her increasingly powerful urges. She all but ignores everything that is happening. One night, after stepping on the scale, Hana sees that her weight chart has reached its lowest point. She has fallen below 60 kilograms, the target she once set for herself. By now, the change in her appearance is unmistakable. Hana looks thinner, more beautiful, and happier than ever. She is convinced that the moment has finally come to ask Alanya out. But after their session, just as Hana believes she has found the right opportunity, Alanya pulls her aside for a private conversation. With a look of concern, Alanya admits that the speed of Hana's weight loss makes her uneasy. In her experience, she says that rate of loss is entirely unhealthy. She asks Hana directly whether she has been skipping meals or starving herself to reach her goal. Alanya demands honesty, but of course Hana cannot reveal her true secret. If she told the truth, Alanya would certainly run away immediately, and that is what Hana fears most. The conversation ends in the worst possible way. Alanya gently but clearly makes it known that she does not share Hana's romantic feelings. She also suggests that perhaps Hana should not continue the program. If Hana is truly skipping meals or harming herself to lose weight, it would completely destroy Alanya's reputation as a trainer. Shattered by that conversation, Hana goes straight to the supermarket and buys every piece of candy and fast food her credit card limit can cover. That evening, the moment she steps into the apartment, she rips down every motivational note she has treasured for weeks as though they were sacred objects. The bar falls to the floor, yet just seconds later, an invisible force kicks it sliding straight toward her. Hana looks up but sees no one in the room. She ultimately decides to follow the strange occurrence. She picks up the chocolate and devours it in just a few bites. Immediately afterward, the other chocolate bars begin sliding toward her on their own. Then, the bag of sweets moves on its own and spills right beside her. Before she realizes what is happening, Hana has eaten everything inside it. The next morning, her classmates notice she seems distracted and teasingly ask how her fat loss program is going. Hana answers coldly that she has ended it and will never go back. During their continued examination of Beta's organs, the class discovers that this woman had suffered from advanced liver cancer that had spread throughout her stomach, meaning her death had been extremely painful. A few days later, Hana visits her father, but when she arrives, she finds all the windows in the house covered and her father having not left his room in days. When he finally agrees to open the door, Hana simply sets down the bags of food she brought and leaves in silence, too suffocated by the situation to do anything more. That afternoon, she returns to the gym. Alanya is genuinely glad to see her back. So glad, in fact, that she finally accepts the earlier invitation to go on a date. When the two of them are alone in the changing room, they begin kissing passionately. For Hana, it feels like a dream come true, and she cannot stop smiling. After the session, Hana decides to give up the pills entirely. Her goal has been reached, so she dismantles each one, extracts the ash inside, and stores it somewhere safe where no one can find it. She also throws away all her junk food and spends a considerable amount of money completely restocking her kitchen with healthy food. At the end of the day, Hana cheerfully looks over her new refrigerator full of nourishing things. But no matter what she does, the fridge door keeps swinging open on its own. Hana picks up a spoon and is horrified to see in the reflection that Beta is standing right behind her. Beta seems to want all the healthy food to spoil, or to be eaten by Hana in a single sitting. Hana firmly refuses to comply, no matter how terrifying Beta's image in the mirror becomes. She runs in a panic to the bedroom and tries to sleep, but Beta follows close behind. She opens the bedroom door, climbs onto the bed, and nearly crushes Hana beneath her enormous weight. Throughout that night, Hana struggles to fall asleep, until she suddenly wakes up and finds herself standing in the middle of the kitchen, frantically eating everything in the refrigerator. In that instant, she understands a terrifying truth. Every time she falls asleep, Beta takes complete control of her body. Overcome with fear, Hana immediately arranges to meet Melissa and reveals the terrible secret behind the pills. She asks her point-blank whether she ever saw or experienced anything strange. Melissa admits that throughout the time she used the pills, she always had an eerie feeling, as though someone were watching her. But once the supply ran out, all the strangeness disappeared. In the days that follow, Hana undergoes a series of medical tests, a sleep study, blood work, and an ultrasound. The results reveal a small growth on her pancreas. Fortunately, it appears to be benign, and the doctor advises her not to worry too much, and to address her sleep troubles through more natural means. That night, too frightened to return to her own apartment, Hana goes to the university library and continues researching the scientific cause of what is happening to her. But after a long and exhausting day, she falls asleep right on top of her books. At that very moment, her right eye begins to move independently in a disturbing way, signaling that Beta is about to seize full control of her body. The second night away from the apartment, Hana goes to Alanya's place. After a few beers, the two are swept up in emotion and grow physically close. This is what Hana has wanted most in the world. But the problem is that Hana feels so at ease that she drifts off to sleep. When she wakes up, she finds herself kneeling in the middle of Alanya's living room. Every piece of food in the apartment has been eaten, and much of the flat has been torn apart. Without a second thought, Hana hurriedly gathers her things and leaves immediately. On her way back, she realizes with horror that Beta is still following right behind her. Hana runs straight to her parents' home and locks herself in her old room, hoping to feel safer. But within seconds, she hears heavy footsteps approaching the door. When she hears her father's voice from outside, asking if she is all right, she calms down a little. Yet she does not dare open the door, because the truly frightening thing is now approaching from the window. The trees in the garden shake violently, as though a colossal rhinoceros is charging toward the house at full speed. Seconds later, the glass shatters into thousands of pieces. Beta forces her way into the room and crawls heavily onto the bed, making the springs groan in a deeply unsettling way. Terrified by the sight of the mattress sinking under that monstrous weight, Hana frantically eats everything within reach until every container is empty. But Beta remains seated. She stares at Hana because the amount consumed is still not enough. She must eat more, far more. After her father walks away, Hana sneaks down to the kitchen and brings back every piece of food she can find. She also detaches one of the security cameras her mother had installed and points it directly at the bed. She wants to capture the moment Beta appears, to finally have undeniable evidence that all of this is real. When she reviews the footage, she sees herself waking up in the middle of the night and eating uncontrollably at first. But when the food runs out, the video reveals something far more horrifying. With nothing left to consume, she swallowed her mother's moisturizers and all of her cosmetics. The most frightening part of all is that despite having eaten a staggering quantity of such things, Hana continues to lose weight at an alarming rate. Her bones are beginning to show through her skin, and her weight is now approaching 45 kilograms, meaning she has lost 15 kilograms in just 2 days. At that moment, she hears a soft sound outside the door. When she steps out, Hana finds that her father has left a plate of pancakes for her. She walks out into the hallway to apologize for snapping at him the night before. It is only now that the audience sees her father is also severely obese, his condition not unlike what Beta's once was. That afternoon, Hana goes to the university and tells Josie, her closest friend, everything. She confesses that she created her own version of the pills and is now losing weight far too quickly. When Josie asks in astonishment where she obtained human ash, Hana reveals that she used what remained of Beta, and that the woman's spirit now appears everywhere, as though it is stalking her every second of every day. Although Hana tries to prove Beta's existence through reflections, Josie cannot see anything, so the two of them decide to sit and wait in the laboratory until Hana's blood sugar drops. At that very moment, Beta grows enraged and uses an invisible force to hurl heavy monitors across the room. This time, Josie witnesses everything firsthand and fully believes what Hana has told her. Hana immediately sprints to the nearest restaurant and devours a large amount of food in just a few minutes, causing Beta to temporarily disappear. It is then that Hana tells Josie about the horrifying paradox she is trapped in. The more she eats, the thinner she becomes. Yet Beta's spirit grows larger and heavier with each passing day, as though Beta is consuming her body at the cellular level. With Josie's help, the two sneak into the university's record storage and steal Beta's confidential medical file. From the information inside, they track down Beta's closest friend in life. This woman tells them that Beta was once a very joyful person, but everything changed after a routine checkup revealed a few small spots on her pancreas. The doctor at the time said it was a benign tumor and told Beta there was no need to worry. Those were precisely the words Hana's own doctor had said to her just days ago. With dawning horror, Hana realizes she has the same condition that Beta had. Beta's closest friend weeps as she admits how deeply she regrets not having done more to help. After hearing all of this, Hana believes she has finally found the way to make Beta disappear for good. She spends the whole day monitoring her body and keeping her blood sugar consistently above 6 to maintain temporary control of the situation. Once she feels safe, she returns home. But the moment she steps into the apartment, she finds her mother frantically clearing out the refrigerator. In a fit of anger, her mother demands to know what on earth has happened in this apartment, because everything is in a terrible state of chaos. The only thing Hana can think about, however, is not her mother's reproach, but the ash she had hidden away. Panic erupts when her mother calmly mentions that she threw it out. Without hesitation, Hana rushes down to the building's trash area and begins tearing frantically through every bag of rubbish. She rips through one after another in desperation until she finally finds the bag containing Beta's ash. Her plan can still go forward, but the real trouble begins when she stands at the elevator waiting to return to her apartment. Beta reappears and begins pursuing Hannah, hurling heavy trash bins through the air with terrifying force. Hannah manages to run back to the apartment and gets the door shut. But another grim reality now faces her. There is absolutely nothing left to eat in the flat. Her mother has thrown every item she deemed unhealthy into the waste disposal. At that moment, her mother hears an unusual sound outside the door. When she steps into the hallway and opens it, the door is suddenly slammed by a tremendous force, throwing her to the floor and knocking her unconscious immediately. In her panic, Hannah's only option is to drag her mother into the bedroom and lock the door to protect her. She then has no choice but to confront Beta directly. The enormous ghost begins hurling her repeatedly against the wall and yanks her hair with brutal force. Beta then brings her massive body down upon Hannah entirely. Hannah can feel every bone in her ribcage slowly being crushed under that terrible weight. In desperation, using her one free arm, she reaches for a nearby bottle of cleaning fluid and drinks it down. This immediately causes Beta to release her. Free from that crushing weight, Hannah vomits out the poison and runs out of the apartment. She sprints with everything she has to the nearest convenience store. The moment she arrives, she shoves her face into a slush machine and devours everything in sight, frantically trying to spike her blood sugar and weaken Beta's spirit. Once certain that Beta has vanished, Hannah continues running to the university laboratory and locks herself inside a research room. Outside, Josie bangs repeatedly on the door, desperately asking what on earth she is doing in there. Hannah explains that if the ash is what created this curse, then eliminating it from her body should sever the connection with Beta permanently. She then inhales a large amount of ketamine through her nose and waits patiently for the anesthetic to take effect. As the drug begins to work, Hannah lies down on the metal laboratory table and prepares to operate on herself. She believes the ash is concentrated in her pancreas and that removing the organ entirely will free her from Beta once and for all. But just as her consciousness begins to dim, terrifying hallucinations immediately take hold. Hannah finds herself trapped inside an enormous garbage bag, surrounded by all the rotting food and waste she has consumed since the day she first took the pills. With a trembling hand holding the scalpel, she cuts a deep incision across her abdomen. But the very moment she sees her own pancreas, something horrifying emerges from the darkness. Beta has now become far more enormous and monstrous than before. Her mouth gapes wide enough to swallow Hannah whole in a single bite. The creature advances toward her with slow, unstoppable steps. Hannah has only seconds left to complete her goal, to remove her pancreas before being swallowed. But when Beta catches her, the creature tears the pancreas from Hannah's hands and shoves it straight into her own mouth. Yet just seconds later, Beta vanishes completely. In that sudden silence, Hannah looks up and sees her former obese self standing high above, inside the mouth of a trash chute. That reflection smiles at her with quiet peace, as if to say that she was always beautiful in her own way and should never have traded her life to conform to someone else's standard. Seconds later, Hannah comes out of the hallucination and realizes she is still lying on the actual operating table in the laboratory. Blood from the wound on her abdomen is flowing without stopping, and Josie is pressing her hands desperately against the opening, trying to save her life. In the next scene, the laboratory staff place Beta's remains in a sealed container and take them to be cremated properly. A few days later, life slowly returns to normal. Hannah has kept her slimmer figure, but is gradually returning to a healthy weight. She also works to repair things with Alanya by bringing her a great deal of food and sweets to make up for what happened during the night she lost control. Alanya looks Hannah in the eyes and asks her to be honest about what she has been through. Hannah admits that she became completely obsessed with being thin and went terribly down the wrong path. Seeing Hannah's sincerity and vulnerability, Alanya decides to trust her one more time and gives the two of them a chance to start over. They kiss with full passion. Hannah gently runs her lips along Alanya's neck and takes in the warmth of her skin. But just seconds later, Hannah's consciousness seems to slip back into darkness, and the screen cuts to black. When the image returns, the scene before us is devastating. Alanya's body lies motionless on the sofa with her upper torso torn open, and Hannah is savoring it with an expression of absolute possession. She has discovered her new favorite thing to consume, closing the film on a deeply chilling note. Today's story ends here. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.